again, like in the first training on Tuesday, short overview over the instrument. And you always have on your list the page or the chapter which we cover in the manual. For the first part, I will show you the parts on the instrument here, and for the second part I will change to the PDF and just share my screen with you so that you can have a look at the PDF, because we'll be talking about the touch screen programming, which you cannot see properly here. Okay, so we are now on chapter 1 of the user's manual. This is page 3. And there you can see description on what parts are in this instrument. When you come to site first, you will have to open the door. So there is just a lock, and the lock is closing the door, so there is no additional handle. And then you just turn the key and open it. We have on the top, we have an inlet. You have the EPA style inlet. Then we have here, this is the ambient sensor, which is here on an arm that is attached to the tube. And the cable goes down here and is plugged here. Here on the side, we have the cable feed through that is usually covered with this cover that makes it waterproof. And we also have some black holders that hold all the tension from the cable, so that if there is someone falling over a cable or something, it does not rip off the contacts, but the tension is then on the cable. Then we have this blue part, to which we refer to as the front panel, and it includes also the touch screen. We have this frequency inverter unit, where we see just the frequency that is used by the pump when it's running, and it also helps sometimes when we have a problem. It's sometimes worth to check what is written here. In general, when there is a problem and you have to contact Inverter Technology or us, it's always good to have the serial number, which is here, just below the touch screen, and to know what the error says. For example, if I have no filters in the magazine, I have a red display. So if you see something red and some error text, just write down the text or take a picture with your phone. And also maybe there is some error or some strange numbers here on the frequency inverter, then also let us know what's written there. In addition to that, you might also have some filter data which will be on the USB stick, which is plugged right here. But I don't know how your procedures are, if the local site operators are allowed to unplug the sticks or not.
Regular, Sharon from
Yes.
MPL. Is it worth me saying something about that at the beginning so people know what to focus on? Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm Sharon from MPL, for those of you who haven't met me, and I'll be sending out the filters to you all to load into the samplers. I probably won't be getting you to use the data stick. I'll be sending out paper forms, which a lot of you will be familiar with from using the other samplers. So I'll be sending you filters for you to load into the magazine canisters, which we'll look at in a bit. And I'll be asking you to sort of program the filter list when you add new filters. But yeah, so I'll be getting the data from your paper records, and also I will be able to remotely connect into the sampler to have a look as well. So yeah, we probably won't be needing the data stick on a regular basis. Thanks. But yeah, if anyone's not sure what if there's optional processes as we go through, I can confirm which ones we need and which we probably don't. So just let me know. Thanks, Regular.
Okay. Yes, and we have a look at this part, which is the most important part for you. This is the filter changer. I have on the left side the magazine with the empty samples, and then on the right side the magazine with the samples that were taken already. In the middle here is the filter sample that is in the airstream, because the air is coming down here. And in the bottom part you have the pump, but you won't need to work with that. So here inside here's the changing mechanics. This little part is the Venturi flow meter. What else? You will not have this big white part on the left. You simply have two magazines, one on each side. The magazines have covers like that. And on the right side, in your version, there is a temperature sensor in the cover. So when you exchange the filter magazines, the top part needs to stay, bless you, needs to stay in this position. So you only exchange the magazine without the top, and the cover stays where it is here. But we will come to that later on again. Okay. So now we are in chapter 1.3, service and maintenance schedule. Of course, you need to clean the inlet regularly. I don't have your routines because this is an EPA inlet. So maybe Sharon wants to tell something about that.
Yes, so we're going to have the inlets that the LSOs are already familiar with, and they typically need cleaning once a month. So yeah, if people can continue with what they're familiar with, and obviously let me know if you need new cleaning equipment. Thanks.
Okay. And there is also some cleaning of the instrument and some maintenance that has to be done, but I think this is not the LSO's task, right? So the cleaning of the sampling line will not be part of their routine.
No, that's fine.
Okay, so we are already done with the chapter 1.3. And the instruments will be installed at the site and checked and calibrated for you. What you will have to do is to fill up the filter magazines and change the filter magazines. I assume the programming will also be done from remote, because there you have a modem inside so that Sharon can just check on the instruments, right?
That was the original plan, but after our training last week, earlier this week, sorry, and the Environment Agency and the audit team were a bit worried about putting it in and out of the mode. I think it might be better for the minute if the LSOs can program in the filter numbers. So if we can go through that at some point, that would be great.
Okay, so there will be some separate instruction on how to do that, right? Because we have to work it out a little bit, how we do that.
I mean, I assume we can do that through your menus or in front of the instrument, can we?
Yes. I don't want to confuse everyone saying what they have to do and then it's different. I'll just show you a bit of the instrument and then we can figure out how your routine will be.
Sure.
After that. Okay, so for the start of operation, the instrument has to be installed, checked and calibrated, and then the filters have to be put into the magazine, and the filter magazine, this one has to be put in here, and an empty one has to be put on the right side. Then we have some programming on how long the samples have to be taken, like how many hours I want to sample, if I want to take a break in between, if I want to sample for 1 day or 2 days, whatever I want, I can program here, and then I can choose when to start the machine. I also have a list of required tools, but I think most of them you won't need for just for day-to-day operation. Now we're coming to a more interesting part for you. It's about the filter holders. The first part will be prepared in the lab, but just for you to know what is happening, we have these rings, filter holders. They have a top part and a bottom part. And there are 2 different colors. And it's the same with the filter magazines. We have a brown part on the bottom and a black cover. Where did I put it? Black part on the top. So the right way to put the filter holders is always the black part on the top and the brown part on the bottom. So you will have a stack of filters and it will always be brown, black, brown, black, brown, black. So if you have one filter that is in the wrong way round, it might damage the filter paper if it's brittle paper, because the grid that is supporting the filter is not in this ring. You can see through it. The grid that is supporting the filter is in the changer mechanism. And it has a certain position, and if it's the wrong way around, it's not high enough.
Can I ask a quick question of Sharon, please? Sharon, will the filters be coming out in the magazines, or will you just send the filters and we'll load the magazines?
Yeah, so the plan was I will send you the filters for you to load into the magazines, so we don't have to keep posting the magazines about.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kurt.
So you see the description on page 6, how the filters are loaded into the magazines, but you will get them like that with the filter already in place. You have to be careful with these, because if you touch it, you can break the filter. So you just hold it on the outer side and do not touch here. The filters are positioned here, so there is no big gap between the 2 rings. So you will receive the filter holders. Now I need to change this a little bit. Yeah. And so this is the filter magazine. I have the handles here. If I press the handles, the magazine will open. The filters will come out. Okay. So what I do, I simply just that a little bit. So that's the magazine. I stack them and pile up all the filters that I want to load. I take my filter magazine. I press the 2 handles and I go over it and press. So I have all the filters in here. Now they're loaded into the magazine and I can put them into the sampler. There are 2 little ears on the side that have to fit into the sampler, and then you give it just a slight turn clockwise to fasten the magazine. Just a slight turn, and you hear a click, and then it's fastened. The magazines from the empty filters and the sampled filters are interchangeable. And so once the empty the new filter magazine is empty, you can take it out and refill it, or just take this one, take out the samples and ship them and put the new samples in.
Ask a quick question, please. It looks, is that the opposite of a Partisan 2025, as in the filter to be sampled first is at the bottom?
Yes, the filter that is sampled first is in the bottom, and then it on the right side it will be the top filter is the
light. Yes. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You can also see this description in the user's manual on page 8 in case you want to look it up when you're in front of the instrument. It's very easy to do. It's one thing that you have to keep in mind is that you put this on a flat surface. You hear the click that the lowest filter is in place, because if it's not, it's like it's not holding. So you really have to click it in. But then it's quite good. I would not transport it like for 2 weeks like that, but if just to carry it around in the lab or that holds tight, it's okay like that. So you have the filter magazines, and you have also the caps. On the left side, you have a cap that has no hole. On the right side, you have a cap with a hole, which I don't have because I have a different version. But in this hole, there is a temperature sensor that looks like that. It's in here. And this is to record the temperature of the sampled filters. Therefore, this cap must stay on the magazine of the sampled filter. So this must stay on the right side. So if you exchange the filter magazines, you have to take out the cap and put it onto the new sampled filters magazine. You can also see this cap with this sensor on the bottom of page 8 on the right. So on the right, the right filter magazine has this white part on top. This is the temperature sensor. So to take out the samples, again, you simply press here, lift it up. Okay. Any questions about the filter holders and the magazines?
Can I just ask, when we're removing exposed filters, we actually remove the cassette and just empty them out?
Sharon, I think so.
So yes, so you'll have to take out the right-hand magazine, Kurt,
Yeah.
and then press the buttons as regular was showing you to release all of the filter holders, and then take the filter holders and put them in your envelope for sending back.
Okay, thank you.
They'll have Petri dishes as well, of course.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I will change to share document with you. So we go to chapter 2, the basic programming. Yeah. So all the programming is done with the touch screen. Normally everything is blue. And this bar here is green. If everything is okay, this is green. If there is a problem, it turns red. You have different parts of the touch screen that refer to different parts of the sampler. The most important part is this one, where we set the work time and where we start all the checks and the calibration and so on. Here, this is the part about the pump, and you see the pump load here. So if this is like 80 or 90%, that means that the pump has trouble reaching the flow. It might have to be exchanged or repaired or serviced soon. This is the filter changer menu, where you can go to automatic filter change. This is all about the flow. This is a picture of this Venturi type flow meter that we have. And this is the internal flow. So the volume depends on pressure and temperature. So we do not have the same flow inside the sampler than outside the sampler because the pressure and the temperature are different. This is the important flow, the flow at the inlet. This has to be 16.67 liters per minute for your type of sampler. And here we have space for options for wind measurement, or like in this case for the cooling, where we see the temperature of the filter storage, but you do not have the cooling. Here we have date and time, and it's very important that this is correct, because with the filter lists or with the other programming, it starts, for example, if I say it has to start at midnight and I have a wrong time here, it will start at midnight of the instrument's time, but not at real time midnight. Then the different buttons as an information button, info point. It contains information about the topic there. The blue bars mean that you can enter a value or go into a menu. We have a back button, a home button. Home button brings you back to this screen. And the arrow tells you that there is more down the screen, so you can scroll down there. So we will just simply go through these parts. The status display tells you if the instrument is in work or in pause or end of program mode. So it tells you what it's doing. Here it also tells you how many minutes it should sample. For example, this 1,440 minutes is 24 hours. And this tells you how much time has elapsed already. So it's been sampling for nearly 5 hours. Then the pump is normally just showing you how much of the total pump power it's used. But if it's red, there is a problem with the pump. And you also can shut down the pump here. The filter changer gives you different possibilities. You can either start an automatic filter change, that it will just start change one filter, or it can use a manual change that will change the filter as long as you are with the finger on this button, and if you take the finger off, it will not change, it will stop somewhere in between. Then you have the discharge magazine button that is discharging the whole magazine from the left side to the right side. This is, for example, if you think there is a problem with the changer or with the filter holders, you can change them through twice so that you still have the same order. Or if you have put the first filter holder on top instead of to the button, you charge like you discharge the magazine, put it into the other magazine, and then it will be in the other order. So it will take the first filter holder and put it to the right, and then the second filter holder to put it to the right, so that you end up having the one filter holder that was on top first will be the lowest one on the bottom in the other magazine. This is also good if you're not sure if the filter holders were closed correctly, or if you just think that there is a problem with the changer. When we are in this section and we want to go back, we press exit manual mode. We have to make sure that we're not stopping here somewhere in between in the manual change, but because then the changer doesn't know where it is. So we have to make one automatic filter change after we have played around with manual change. So this is the error notification message. For example, if I entered the pump and I shut it down manually, it will be red. The work time will still be in work mode, but it won't be sampling because the pump is not running. And the error message is saying the pump has been turned off manually. I can press here, and then it shows me all the error messages and tells me what the problem is. And if I press here the information button, it will tell me turn the pump on, and here the filter magazine is empty, put in new filters. Then the date and time is this one. It's just, you can press on it and you can change the time. And we can protect everything with the pin code. So if you fear that someone is messing around with your settings, then we can also put in a pin code protection. Then we have the ambient pressure and temperature recording. That is the one that is next to the inlet. This just shows, if I press on it, it shows this with the current temperature, current pressure, and the current flow rate. And I can go to the configuration and change the settings for the flow here, or just go back to the home screen. The same with the flow measurement button. We have one option for a different flow control type, so that's why there is this information that there is the Venturi tube in place, but this is what you have, and it's a standard version. So the Venturi tube, differential pressure, flow meter, and you see the current flow rate. And here this would also be for if you had a glass tube rotameter type, so you do not need to check that out. It's just saying what the current flow rate inside the instrument is. And then if you have options, you have other buttons that show you details about your options. The one on the bottom right where it's written menu leads you to many other options and settings that you could do, but it's as we program everything our customers need, and we leave it there for all others to use. It's a little bit confusing to find the right way through. So that would be a little bit too much for one meeting. So the basic programming is you press the top, what was it? The status status display, like the big bar on the top, and there are two options. Either the program is running, then you have these options that appear, or the program is not running, the sampler has ended the program, then you have these points that appear. You can also enter this if you put menu and then change program status. It's the same way. So if the program is not running, you can either start the program, change the status times, start the pressure temperature calibration, start tightness test, or start flow calibration, where these are used by the other team, I think, not local site operators, but the servicing team. And if the program is running, you can finish the program, also change the status times, do calibration or checks on EN12341. But I don't know who's doing the checks. So Sharon, who is doing the checks?
The pressure, temperature and flow checks will be done by combination of the Environment Agency or the auditors. So yeah, the LSO shouldn't have to use it unless we might ask them if we've got a particular problem and no one can get there. But we'd talk them through that.
Okay. Good. So the standard working times are set in this menu, and it's how long work is how long the sample should sample on this one filter, and the pause is if there is some people just sample every 4 days, so you have 1 day here and then 3 days here, so it waits 3 days between the samples. In the extended status times is more for a scientific purpose, if you want to sample 2 hours on Monday and then 5 hours on Tuesday and so on. So it's very complicated programming, but very flexible. And then you start the program. You can either program a starting time or make an immediate start. Normally you program a starting time, for example, midnight the next day, and then you just, that's why it's also important that your sample has the correct time. You set this start time here. And if you have to finish the program, you press here, finish program. Any question on this programming? Okay. So should we talk about filter logging also?
Yes, please.
Okay. So we are here. So you have you can log the filter number, and to enter this menu, you have to follow this path. Menu, change configuration, change operation parameter, general settings, logging of filter number on. But this has to be set only once. So maybe this is also already like that when you come to the instrument. And then when you start a program, you have to enter the number of the filter at the start of the program. And it will, after every filter change, it will count up one number. So you just say, this is my filter, the filter in the I will start sampling with is filter number 304, and then once it has changed the filter, it will be filter 305, and this will also be logged at the filter data and also displayed remotely, so they can see which filter is in the sampling chamber at the moment. It is a little bit dangerous because the sampler does not see if you really put the filter number 304 there. It just believes what you tell them. So you have to be very careful there that your pile of filters in the correct way and do not mix up the filters, because the instrument will not notice. There is no checking for that. No reading, no eyes that tell you, oh, you said it was 304, but it's actually 204 or something like that.
Can I just ask something, Regular?
Mm.
I was under the impression that the LSOs would be able to type in a sequence of multiple filter numbers in the same way as if doing the list, but in front of the sampler. And so you're saying you put in one number and then it's going to incrementally increase from there.
So yeah, that's the filter number logging option. So
I see. So yeah, that could be a bit problematic because we send out in sets of 4. So those will increase one at a time, but then 1 month later, the numbers will be starting from a different point. So it won't all be incremental when you start from the last set. So
yeah, but they will go to the instrument in between the sets, right?
Yeah.
So they
so
can
you
simply...
can set the first one and then...
Yes.
I see.
But we can discuss. We can do this differently. If we can change this in for your needs. Okay. For us, it's very difficult to find the solution that fits the customer because we do not know your processes. If you would like to have filter numbers, like a filter list that you can enter by hand, we can also program that. But I think that's a source of a lot of errors if they have to do that by hand. So I'd either use some sort of barcode reader or I don't know. But if they have to type everything, like for 17 filters, 3, 4, or 5 digits number.
Yes, yeah. No,
that might be.
That's fine though. If you can do one set of 4 and just program in the first number, then the next 4 numbers it will fill in. And then you come back a month later with another 4 filters, put in the first number, and the same follows. That would be fine.
Okay, because then you can simply start the program, like make a new start of the program.
Yeah.
And then it will count up automatically.
Can this work? Sorry, you probably will come to this anyway, but if like when you come with a new set of filters and a current filter is still being sampled, are you able to sort of start the new program or put in the new program while you've got filters still running on the old program?
So we would then have to use this pre-start filter option and count it together.
Okay. Yeah, I think we might need to work through an example for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also for me, because it's a little bit confusing for me. Yeah.
So yeah, if we get to the end and then we work through something once you've finished your training sections.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm messing up your whole program, Regular.
Oh, well, there is not such a big program because I think we're nearly through. It's not so much to do.
Fine. So yeah, we'll get to the end and then look at our specifics.
Yeah, if the people attending the this instructions are basically exchanging the filter holders, then
yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not so much to say.
Okay, you carry on.
Okay.
Thanks, Regular.
Yes. So we have this logging of filter number, and then if we have this option activated, we will see the number of the filter here. That number of the filter that is in the work section. Yes, and this is the extended working times. This is a little bit complicated. So, and you won't use that. That's just if some professor wants to have 60 minutes one day and then 48 minutes the next day. So there is some regular cleaning to do. Normally, every 2 weeks, the instrument is visited for exchange of filters. But I think, how often do you go there?
So it'll probably be every 4 weeks
Every
to
4
actually
weeks.
change filters.
Okay. And at the same time, the impactor, the inlet head has to be cleaned. I think this is the most important part. So you don't have the impactor plate and the nozzle, so no need to do that. I think you have to clean the this little box that is on the side of the inlet. And then this next one is already something that the service team is doing. So all the cleaning. So yes, I don't know what other information you will need from my side, just to exchange the filters. Let me see.
Sorry, Sharon, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please do.
Sorry, did you say that we LSOs won't be doing the cleaning? Have I got that right? Or
No, you'll be cleaning the head like normal.
yes.
But yeah, anything else will be the service team.
So not the impactor plate or anything like that. It's purely just the inlet. Is that right?
Well, it's the bits you used to clean before. I haven't actually got my manual to hand.
Okay,
I think there is an impactor plate as well in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you will be familiar with this with the head you had. So
yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
So right, it sounds like we need to sort of work through our typical kind of examples then. So I think my plan is at the moment, because I had one plan and the service team weren't keen on it. So we're trying plan number 2. And I certainly think to start with, it will be good for the LSOs to be very aware of what filters are where and what's programmed in. So my plan is, as you're familiar with previously, I will be sending you, initially I will probably send you 8 filters, so you've got a buffer, and then every month I will send you another 4 filters, and so each filter is sampled for a week. So I will be needing people to load the new filters every month in the left magazine. So just to check regular, can they take, when a sample, they'll probably come along and a filter will still be sampling.
Yes.
And there might be a few filters left in the input magazine as well on the left. Provided the changeover is not imminent, it's perfectly okay to take out the left-hand magazine and load the new filters and put it back in.
Yes.
And that's all fine, yeah?
Yes, it's just important that they take out the filters. Take out the filters.
Yeah.
And put the new ones on the top. Otherwise, they will be changed in first.
Yeah.
And then...
Can I ask a quick question then? So, as Sharon's, and I was thinking the same, there'll probably be 2 or 3 filters still in there that are unexposed. We then get a new batch to fill in, to put in there. What number are we putting in? Because I guess, Sharon, that there'll be a completely different batch of numbers.
Yeah.
But if we say 3 still in there, excuse me, what number are we putting in then for the first new set? Because there'll still be, say, 2 or 3 of the old sets still in there.
So my understanding is, and we need to clarify, but I think you will have input the list of the filter numbers for the set that are currently being sampled previously. So you should already have those programmed into the sampler.
So it's not a case of putting that first one and then it'll run through however many. We'll put, say, numbers 1 to 28 and then excuse me, and then when we get the next lot of filters, delivered will go out there. So, for example, 26, 27, 28 could be in there. But we'll be putting actual individual filter IDs in rather than there's the first one and let it run.
So here is my understanding. I will give you the first set of filters and you'll program in the numbers before you set them going.
Yeah.
Then you'll set them going and sampling. Then you'll come back in a month with a new set of filters. And my hope is that you can load them and program their numbers in whilst the old set of filters are still finishing.
Okay.
So what I will do, I will talk to our software engineer and ask him if it's just 4 filters a month, it might be worth just programming in the number by hand, right? So I will ask him how we can do that. How we can
a stupid question. What is the filtering frequency, Sharon? Is it 1 filter per week or
yes,
one
yeah,
a day?
as we were before.
Oh, right.
1 a week.
Oh, right. So, okay, because we're still running parcels 2025 and they're changing daily. So, all right. So it's not as though we've got to stand there and input 28 filter IDs.
No.
We're only doing 4. Right. Okay, that simplifies it. Okay.
But regular, were you saying earlier you could put in the first filter ID and then say there's going to be 4 filters and then it automatically fills in the other 3 filter identities?
Yes, that's true. But my problem is if the filter is still running and you put in a new set, I don't know how it manages that.
Oh, I see.
Because either you stop the program and start with a new number, but if you stop the program, what is with the filter that is still in place, which is from the previous batch, right?
Yeah.
So I need to talk about that a little bit with the engineer, but I'm sure we can find a good solution. So if it's just very few filters, then it's not. The reason why we put this automatic numeration is that normally it's daily samples. So if you sample for 2 weeks, and then you have to enter 14 different filter numbers.
Sure.
That's not very good for the operators. But if you have only 4 and then different numbers, then you might want to just put in by hand, or I don't know. I need to talk about that with my technician.
Because I like the auto incremation thing, because then it is a less opportunity for mistakes. Even with 4 numbers, it's still an improvement. But as you say, if it's going to confuse the programming, if you're not sure it will work as we're planning to use it.
Yeah, so you would with the current software, you'd have to stop the program after the 4 and then start with a new number for the next 4.
I see. So you'd have to be there as it changed the last one out.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I will find out. Okay. I will.
That's okay. Thanks. Thank you, Regular. I'll pass everything on. Oh, and
Okay.
can I just ask as well, because we tried this on our sampler a few days ago. We tried running a couple of filters just for 10 minutes. And I can't remember the exact process we realized, but so we loaded filters into the input magazine, but for the very first filter, it wouldn't just move it into the sampling position when we pressed start program. We had to go make it do an automatic filter change, I think. So it actually loaded the very first filter and then pressed start program. It didn't seem to want to auto load it.
So I just try it out here. I put in the filter magazine. Start a program. Okay. Okay, it should actually put in the first filter when you start a program.
It just kept saying magazine is empty or no filters or something. So yeah, we sort of fiddled around them.
Yeah, but then you did not have the magazine in place, so you couldn't start it. It won't allow you to start a program if you don't have any filters in the magazine.
We did though. This was the confusing thing.
Okay.
I don't know. Something was
what's
peculiar.
happening sometimes? if you load the filters in the magazine, and you do not do it on a flat surface, but you press it up a little bit too much.
Up too much.
Maybe it's up. It was up too much. That is not like where it should be. Then maybe it's not recognized in of the sensor. So if I pressed, I can put in my finger here, so it's not on the button. So I will try what happens now. So it's not, it's still red, you cannot see maybe, but now it does not realize that there's filters in the magazines because it's not in the correct position. So what I have to do is I just put it on my table and I press my handles quickly so that it's like on the button position.
Yeah.
And then it realizes that maybe this was the error, that it's
Yeah, that's quite possible. Yeah.
So then you can start the program.
Because I also found it quite easy to not catch both sides of the bottom filter when I loaded it as well. So like it sounded like it was clicking in, but I think I only had it high enough on one side.
Okay. So
but again, it's getting it level was really, yeah.
The easiest way is just do it on a flat surface, so it will be positioned, and you just push it down on the flat surface, and then it's like it's where it has to be.
Regular. Can I just ask a quick question? You know, when you've done that, is that bottom filter locked in, or is it free to move? You can't. No. So if you hold that up now, that's locked now.
That's locked. But what you must not do, you must not turn it around, because then the filters will fall down.
Yeah, yeah.
But like that, it's.
So that one's primed and ready to go. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we also learned about how not tilting it and getting the filters stuck at a 90-degree angle.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, if one happened to sort of slide down a bit further than the others and then it got twisted, then we had a bit of a job getting it back out.
Okay. So the easiest way is always to stack everything on the table and then put the magazine on top of it, and not just try to fill in one by one and then possibly destroying the filter also. So just put it on the table. You cannot see that, right? It's in.
Great.
Okay, any other issues that appeared when you tried out the instrument?
Yeah, those were the ones really. Yeah, starting that first one and getting that fit, and yeah, not tilting them over. And I think those were our main issues. And yeah, data downloading, but we discussed that already.
Yeah.
With your comma.
Yeah, because it's in Switzerland and in Austria, it's different. Swiss have dots and Austrians have commas for Excel. So I cannot open my technician's Excel files either. Or I can open them, but it wouldn't say those are numbers, but some writing.
Oh, and there was one other question we did have. The flow readings, this is more for the auditors and the service people. For the flow readings that the sampler gives, are they volumetric or are they standardized flow readings? Like standardized to a temperature?
So you always have the temperature and the pressure that it is corresponding to written below. So there's just one place where it's actually measured. It's actually measured at the Venturi tube. So the values that you see in the middle of the screen with the liters per minute and the temperature and the pressure are the volume that is measured at the temperature and pressure that is given there. And it's just the volume measured in the Venturi tube. The volume that you have at the inlet is just calculated. We don't have a flow meter at the inlet. We only have a pressure and temperature meter, like sensor at the inlet. So we calculate the flow that we measured at the Venturi tube to ambient conditions.
Okay, so it's corrected effectively to the current conditions when you take the measurement.
Yeah, because
so
that's the requirement of the standard, is to have a certain flow at ambient conditions and not at standardized. But you can also you can enter your standard conditions, and you can have your volume that you print out per filter in standard volume, like at 10 degrees Celsius in 1 bar or something like that. You can just have this calculation also included if you want.
Yeah, no, I think you're saying it's volumetric flow, which is what our flow meters are measuring. So it's at the ambient conditions, not corrected. That's fine.
Okay.
Oh, just a question for sort of the LSOs and for probably Mike Webley. Are all of the samplers coming with like one key for the door?
So it's 2 keys per sampler, and it's the same keys for all of the samplers.
Great. So is everybody happy that 2 keys is enough for you, or would you like me to buy any extra so that each LSO has 1 key, or are you going to be okay with 2?
I'm fine with if me and Richard have one at Walsall each, Sharon. I think that'll be fine.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Sharon, for us, 1 each. Yeah.
We'd probably need another 1 or 2, but can we cut them ourselves if we do? Or would you prefer to?
I mean, I assume you probably can cut keys like any other kind of key regular.
You can
Cut the key, like get them made at a key cutters.
They're not a specialist key.
Well, this is just it's I don't know, try it out, but we can also send you some. It's like I don't know, 8 francs per key or something like that. But you can also ask at Envirotechnology.
Yeah,
or
yes, of course.
You can try if they can cut it. It's I've never done that because we just buy the keys from the company who makes the locks.
Yeah, I'll probably just buy you a couple of extra ones, Tom. It's fine.
All right, thanks.
Sharon, could I ask a quick question? I know we'll be visiting once a month to change filters, but have I got it right? You guys want us to go once a week just to check that everything is still running, and so that you don't lose any data.
If you happen to be passing, that would be great to just check that the pump is still running. I think I'll be able to sort of log in remotely and see that it's working anyway.
Right.
But at the beginning, whilst I'm not that familiar with things either, it might be nice just to have a visual confirmation if you're in the area and it's no big issue to drop past.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, we might not need to keep that up.
Sharon, will we have remote access as well to keep an eye on it, or will we just rely on you to keep an eye on it and let us know if any issues flag up?
I mean, I can probably give you access, Tom. I'll have a discussion with people, but I can't really see a problem with that. It's your sort of filters and data. So yeah, I don't see any issue with giving you access to your own sampler.
Okay, all right.
Once I figured out how to do it.
Yeah, and if our IT allow it.
It's just going through a web browser. It's just a login through a web browser. So it's not an MPL locked away system or anything.
Right. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
So yeah, I think that's probably covered all the questions I had in mind. Did any of the LSOs have any more questions?
My one, Sharon, when do you anticipate installation?
Probably, there's a good chance it could be before Christmas, Kurt. We need to hear back from Regular about how we're going to sort of proceed with programming the filters. And any idea how long that's likely to be, Regular? I guess they might need to make some changes, so it might be a few weeks.
So But if you just want to start with the first batch, you can do that, and then you can do software update with the USB key.
Yeah.
You can also install them already and start using them, and then use the improved route later on when we finalized it.
Yeah, so we could just go with weekly visits and a manual changeover until we've.
No, you can also go with your list. You just take a list and you say these 4 samples. You can also write it down by hand. If you write the date and the number, you will always have the date and the number for the filter in the magazine as well. So the sampler is writing the volumes to a certain date. And if your operators know which filter number was the first, the filter number was the second, and when they started, you will have all the data that you need, right?
Oh, yes. So, yeah. So that was in just that work menu, and you just set the number of minutes it was going to run and no pause time, and just set your foregoing, and it's automatically going to change over, and it doesn't have an ID programmed in. But yeah, as you say, if you record it on the form.
Yeah, if you have on the form the filter number and the date, and you have in the instrument the date and the corresponding volumes, you can bring it up together quite easily, right?
Yeah, I should think that should be okay for a while whilst we sort that out.
Another fundamental question, Sharon. Obviously, these are weekly filters. What day are you proposing for the filter to change? I know we always used to do a Wednesday.
Yeah, we would plan to stick with that if possible. Yeah, a few sites do like a Tuesday or Thursday, but yeah, normally we do Wednesday if people are okay with that.
Okay. Well, as you know, the station's good to go. The power's there. So as soon as you give us the nod, we can get going. Okay.
Great.
Okay, well, thanks for the information on the electric. Mike Webley here. Thanks for the information on electrical power. Then we can plan that. I do need to obtain a PO for the installation at Warsaw from the EA. I already had the one from Swansea, so I'll just start that paperwork off and look when we can install the one in Warsaw, and then give everyone a date.
Great, thanks, Mike. Should I be hanging on to the data sticks if we're going to get upload software updates and things? Would I then send them out to the LSOs when updates are ready, or how would that work?
Is that a question for me?
I think so. I wasn't sure if ET might jump in as well. I don't know.
So we would send you the software update by email, and then you load it onto a USB key and put the USB key into the sampler.
Okay. So yeah, I think the USB stick has gone in with the sampler that's going back to ET at the moment from MPL.
Yeah, but you can use any kind of USB stick. That doesn't have to be ours. So.
But yeah, I could forward the email to the LSO, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, probably is useful if the data stick is with the sampler. Sorry, I'm just panicking about all these things regular, and I've never started new sites before and new samplers. So this is a big project for me.
Yeah, well, we'll make it work together.
Yeah, I know data sticks are data sticks really, but. But yeah, so I think we've kind of covered everything we probably need to for the minute. And yeah, so it's just up to us and ET to get the samplers out.
Maybe
installed.
Yeah, maybe one very quick information there thought of. We also had the troubleshooting here. So if you have troubles with the changer when you're on site and the system would not take in the filter, or says the filter changer is blocked or something like that, the first step is always to take out both filter magazines. and take out all the filters that you can reach and then try again. So that's one additional information. Because if you had some not straight filter or something falling down, I don't know what, then it's best to just rescue your samples first and then have a look and try to make a filter change with this filter change button again. Then you will see if it's working or not. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Regular. So I think if there's nothing from anybody else, I guess we're pretty much done. Everyone happy with that?
So maybe if you have more questions after you started the project and everyone has had contact with the instrument, maybe we might do another quick additional training. I think it's quite difficult to imagine what you have to do if you have never touched the instrument, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks, Regular. That's been a really good starting course for people, and hopefully we know where to look for help when there's trouble as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
I guess, Sharon, we'll just hear from you in due course then.
Yep, no worries, Kurt.
Okay. But expect something maybe before the end of the year.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay then.
Cheers,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.